Welcome to the 23rd video in our series about Unix tools. By popular request, this video and those that follow will use a larger font size with a larger window size. Today's topic is managing data in text files. In older references, these files are sometimes called flat files. These files contain one or more lines, and each line is a logical record. Each logical record consists of one or more fields separated by some designated separator. While this sounds confusing, you are probably already familiar with CSV files, comma-separated values. While it's true you can load them into Excel, that won't work if you are accessing a Unix-like system remotely. Do not despair. Unix, and any reasonable Linux distribution, contains built-in tools that allow you to do all the operations you would need to read specific records, sort them on any field, or to retrieve entire records or entire columns. What tools are required to work with CSV files? Obviously Nano or Cat to read it, but I didn't list that. We know those already. We need grep, sort, cut, and awk. And we'll look at each of those in turn. We have occasionally used grep in previous videos, but the other three tools, sort, cut, and awk, are probably new to you. Remember, the Unix philosophy is to have many specialized tools that do one job and do it well. Instead of an all-in-one tool like Excel, Unix has many separate tools. Also, these tools are more flexible, they are scriptable, although I can't seem to spell scriptable correctly. There we go. And they do not require a graphical user interface. With this 10-minute video format, we won't be able to cover all of these tools in one video, but we're going to get started. And the first thing to do is take a look at a typical file that we would want to access. So if we take a look, you can see we have data and play with data.txt. So data is the one that has information in it. Let's use the simple cat program to look at data. You can see that data is a comma separated value data file. Commas are used between each field. We have last name, first name, country, and gender in the traditional sense, birth gender. Each line has those four fields. We can think of that as a row. And we can see by looking at this, we appear to have 7 rows. So if we use Nano to look at this file, and remember, we might want to use the V to be safe. And then we said Alt-N, so we see the numbering, and we can see, yes, we've got those records. So we can edit it with Nano. It's a regular text file. The next thing to do is ask ourselves, how many lines does Unix think it has? Word count with the minus line option tells you there are 7 lines, even though Nano shows an 8th line. That's just a weird thing about Nano, is it will show that blank line at the end. But there are really just 7 rows. I said we'd start with grep, and we will. We've used grep before, and you say grep, and then you give some options if you need them, and we'll say we want the number of the record. Then you give some sort of pattern to match, perhaps with anchors, perhaps not. So let's say we want to find out about everybody from Russia. So if we wanted to do that and we wanted to be smart about it, we know Russia is not at the beginning or the ending of the record, so we could look for Russia with a comma on each side in the data file. And you could see there was only one match, Joseph Stalin. If we wanted to find all the females, well, female's the last field, so we'd have to do that. And to make sure we get the end of line, we put the dollar anchor. And you could see that we got John Jane, Margaret Thatcher, and Angela Merkel. All three are female and important people. So if we wanted to get the males instead, just change this pattern to M, and we get the males. Myself, an imaginary person named Smoke Pot, Pol Pot from Cambodia, and Joseph Stalin. I hope that the last two people are very different than the first two. Okay, we can get almost any row if we can think of a pattern. I've shown you how to match one in the middle with the comma on each end. We assume there are no commas within the data. This is a simple CSV. I've showed you how to match the end with either male or female. So I should tell you how to match a surname. So if you wanted to find everybody with a surname Pot, then we could do grep, and we could give that number, and we could say anchor at the beginning of the line. It has to be Pot, and we don't want Potter like Harry Potter or anything. So we put the comma to mark the end of the field, and then we give the name of the data file that we're processing. And you can see it got Smoke Pot from Jamaica and Pol Pot from Cambodia. So we can select rows with grep. That's a good start. And unfortunately, we have little time left in this video. So I used WC, which was not on our initial list. But WC is the word count program. And you can see you can count the number of lines. You can count the number of words. You can count the number of characters. Remember, some characters need more than one byte if you have an accent or maybe something like Thai alphabet. And you can count the number of bytes, which would be used with a binary data file. So the option that we used was -L to find out how many rows. WC -L data. And that told us that we have 7 rows of data. So let's update our introduction to include that tool. And since we used that before grep, we'll do a computer science thing. We'll number from 0, WC, to, and put a -L there, to count the number of records in the file. And those are records, or you can think of them as rows, you can think of them as lines. Okay, so we've updated our introduction. We've done number 0 and we've done number 1. And I hope you come back for the next video in our series when we'll take a look at sort. It turns out using sort is complex. Powerful, but complex. So I want to say thank you for listening. I hope you like the new larger font and that it's easier for you to read. See you next time.